भास्कर भास्कर
Bulo, start the webinar, please.
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning to one and all present here, our esteemed guests, my fellow interns. I am Beulah Anton, and it is my privilege to welcome you all to today's webinar on border security and regional dynamics, Western and Eastern border. Border security is one of the cornerstones of national security. It not only protects the sovereignty and territorial integrity of a nation, but also plays a crucial role in maintaining regional stability and fostering economic development. In a country like India, with its extensive and varied borders, managing these borders presents unique challenges that require a comprehensive and multifaceted approach. India's borders stretch over 15,000 kilometers, encompassing a wide range of geographical terrains, from the icy heights of the Himalayas to the deserts of Rajasthan, the dense forests in the northeast, and the long coastlines in the south. Each of these regions present distinct security challenges that require tailored strategy. On our western border, tensions with Pakistan have been a constant feature, leading to issues like cross-border terrorism, smuggling, and infiltration. The eastern border, on the other hand, is marked by challenges such as illegal migration, insurgency, and drug trafficking. These regions also differ in terms of their socio-political dynamics, making the task of securing them even more complex. Today's session will explore these dynamics in depth, drawing on the expertise of our distinguished panelists who have extensive experience in managing and studying these borders. We will hear about the strategies and policies that have been implemented to address the security challenges, the role of technology in enhancing the security at these borders, and the importance of regional cooperation in maintaining peace and stability. Our first speaker is Mr. Anil Kamboj. Shri Anil Kamboj is a retired Inspector General, a postgraduate in physics from APS University, Rewa, and he joined BSF as a direct entry officer on 2nd Feb 1976. He has excelled in almost all the 26 courses which he has undergone, including EME course, junior command, and senior command under the Army. He was an authority in functioning of all types of weapons and instruments held in the force. The officer has served as Class A instructor in all the three premier institutions of BSF. Sri Anil Kamboj has wide experience in counterinsurgency militancy operations in Punjab, Jammu and Kashmir, and Northeast India. He has commanded battalion on the international border as well as Manipur for counterinsurgency operations. I would now like to invite Sir Anil, and we really look forward to your presentation, sir. So your mic's on mute.
Now I believe, okay. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll just start, huh? Sorry, little out of touch. It's been almost 3 years when I stopped teaching, though it was my regular everyday habit. Anyway, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. Northeast has always been in my close to my heart. You know, somebody asked me after I had retired in one of the meetings. Okay, we'll take you back, or we'll take you back in the BSF. It was one of the meetings of BSF. So, where do you want to be? Which area would you like to choose after uh, when we take you in? I just, without thinking anything, I said Northeast India and especially Tripura. So, this is very close to my heart, and then that's how I volunteered to take this particular topic today. So, this is our Northeast, beautiful Northeast is as beautiful as any part of the world. And now, if you see, this is our state of Assam. The, the it's absolutely peaceful now. I've traveled throughout the Assam recently, about 3 4 months back, and it's absolute peaceful. And there is no disturbance except minor, you know, between the Karbis, uh, uh, Himsas, and these are, in Karbi Anglong, little bit of disturbance. Otherwise, in general, if we speak, it's absolutely peaceful. Now we come to Arunachal. I traveled from west to east in Arunachal during a visit, and I went to the first district of northeast of Arunachal in the east, except for the threat from the north, that is from China. Otherwise, absolute peaceful. And the main thing about the northeast, about the Arunachal is they are very, as like any other state, they are very rich in their culture. They believe in their culture, and you have to respect their culture. Now, coming to Meghalaya, absolute peaceful, beautiful countryside, beautiful capital, except for minor, within their tribes, that goes on. Then we come to Nagaland. Yes, we are in peace talks with Nagaland. Beautiful Jono Bhutto and Mokokchung. Mokokchung is even known as the Europe of India. Uh, so this is a quite peaceful area, and it was very surprising for me to see when I went to Dimapur. Not a single shop opened after 7:30 in the evening. And most of them are, you know, either the youngsters. I'm talking about the youngsters. Most of them, are enjoying their music. They love their drinks, and I was surprised to see even drugs were being floated around. So this is a little cause of worry in this area. And the only thing is that their demand, which I think so cannot be met by the Indian government, is the demand for uh, Greater Nagaland. Though we are in peace talks with the IM, Isaac and Muyawa, and this is the 59th or 60th, I think so, 59th ceasefire, which they call, the Nagas call. It's a 59th ceasefire between the, what they say, Indian government and the Nagaland government. That's what they say. So this is the area which is in the dark spots, which they demand, even in the area of Manipur, which is not possible. Area of Myanmar, that's not possible. Area of Manipur, there was a big agitation within Manipur. No, that's not possible. North of Manipur, Senapati and Thamlong and all these areas they wanted to have within there. And areas of Assam and even eastern Arunachal, they were demanding in that greater Nagaland. It's not possible, though some demands of them have been met. Now we come to our beautiful Manipur. Manipur is the only state which has the Loktak Lake and floating islands. I didn't find anywhere in India. I've not gone around the world, but this is the only place in India where we have floating islands. Beautiful state, but the only problem is, in the latest the drugs, the growing of poppies, illegal growth of poppies in um, the areas of cookies. Manipur is found as per the old legend. It's in the even in the Mahabharata you find the Manipur state mention of Manipur state and Maithis. So they are as old, thousands of years old. Maithis have settled down in this area, Manipur. Arjun married Chitranga, Chitranda, the daughter of the king of Manipur, and has a son from their wedlock. And there, it is believed it is the descendants of uh, Arjun who are there as Maithis in Manipur. It's believed that earlier names were Kanglei Park and all those, and cookies were brought in Manipur by the Britishers in the 19th century. And they were settled down in the surrounding areas. Mainly, it was to protect Manipur from the from the raids of Nagas, which were all disturbing Manipur. That is what the British wanted. But now cookies have all settle down in the hill areas. Now it is, the Maithis, they are in the valley, and it's about 59 to 60% population is of Maithis, and rest is of all tribals, different types. Some are Maithis, Nagas are there, Vaipes, and all those different tribes are there. They're settled in the surrounding hill areas. The biggest problem is that Maithis, they want to settle down in other areas also besides the valley. But because of the inner line regulation, they cannot settle there. So that is one heartburning. And the main problem was, they were growing illegal cookies, started growing illegal poppies with the help of the same tribe in Myanmar, in their areas. And they were producing drugs, illegal drugs, and they were supplying these drugs. So this was connected to the main triangle of that main, which is called as that in the northeast, in the far east. That is middle. That is called as uh, the uh, the eastern countries. so so this illegal had to be stopped, and when first this poppies growth was being destroyed, so there were a lot of protests. Now, at the same time, the decision of the court came that Maithis will also be given the status of ST, of the tribe, which the other cookies especially didn't want. Now, immediately when so much of disturbances took place, the High Court of Manipur government, Manipur, they reversed the order, they revoked the order. But still, the disturbance didn't stop. So it clearly indicates that there are something outside powers who are playing the game. And I don't want to go into the detail as to who's the responsible, but it's outside forces which are responsible for the things not to settle in uh, uh, and the the conflict between the Maithis and the cookies in that area. That is a little heartburning, and I'm really putting my fingers crossed that it shouldn't spread to other areas. Kom are the tribes which are the older tribes which have settled in, uh, and they speak the second language is Maithi. Illegal farming of what I discussed, and they want to make Manipur as a drug addict. That was a report in newspaper. So they want to make Manipur as drug addict. That is a little problem. So, something like what they were actually mainly both were tribal, the NLFT and ATTF. So both have now either surrendered or they have laid down their arms. Absolutely peaceful state. Mizoram, another peaceful, little minor disturbances here there among the tribes. Others absolute peaceful so far. We'll come and discuss little geopolitics about it. Uh, now, connectivity has this particular northeast is connected by a very thin, small patch called as chicken neck. The connectivity is through that. So we have to travel long distance to reach Tripura or Manipur or these northeast eastern states. So government has taken a decision, and with the help of Sheikh Hasina, the who was the former prime minister who has been overthrown, the connectivity through Bangladesh, both the countries, India and Bangladesh, agree to that, and the connectivity emerged as the key ingredients of strong India and Bangladesh relations. The connectivity, the driver of growing partnership between both the countries, ensures increased productivity and socio economic benefits for both countries, especially for India's northeast. And India's policy um, of going to further east to the East Asian countries. So this will be a passage through India, though uh, so far there is no much success in the our the eastern policy. I mean, so on the going to further east, that is in our eastern countries. But efforts are on. But this will be the main uh, source through which where we can go there. And most of the connectivity projects are in the initial stages, and some of them have been completed, which I'll show you on the map. And focus of enhancing the connection between Bangladesh and other eastern states in all dimensions is there. That railway connection, road connection by air is already there, and it also includes digital and energy connectivity. The friendship pipeline, that is, we'll be supplying mm, transport of 1 million metric tons per annum of high speed diesel to Bangladesh on concessional rates. The urgency is because the China is also uh, trying to get inside mm, northeast. Get inside Bangladesh. If India does not integrate with our neighbors, especially Bangladesh, through new improved connectivity, then it may lose its importance, the strategic importance with our neighbor Bangladesh to the rising China. And recently, Sheikh Hasina had gone to Bangladesh about, as per the paper reports, 16 agreements were signed between Beijing and Dhaka. So Beijing is a growing planet, is trying to have more influence in Bangladesh. It has already surrounded India. Uh, Nepal is leaning towards China. Pakistan is almost like one of the province of uh, China. Then you have in south again China has influenced our southern neighbor uh, Sri Lanka and Myanmar and Sri Lanka and Maldives. On the east, Myanmar details I'll not go because my colleague will be taking over there. Uh, and mm, likewise, Bangladesh is only a good friend of ours. So we want to stay in Bangladesh. That is our main aim. But let's see what the future tells us. The construction of modern, user friendly river ports we have done. The cross border bus operate in 5 different border routes in Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, West Bengal, with Bangladesh. Northeastern states of India offer numerous opportunities not for the movement of people but important also for trade and investment. We'll get further initiative in traditional integration of socio-economic historic connections. Seaports of Bangladesh will be used by a landlocked northeastern state. In the last 5 years, bilateral trade between India and Bangladesh has grown from 7 billion to 18 billion in the financial year 2022 report. Bangladesh export to India has reached to 2 billion in last financial year. It has increased from 1 billion to 2 billion now, and the rest is India's investment there. And India's with this market is has emerged as the top export destination for Bangladesh in Asia. For India, also Bangladesh is the biggest trade partner in South Asia. So these are other details. India has provided concessional loans to Bangladesh, and these are further which I'll not like to go through that much. This is the rail connection between India and Bangladesh, and many of the have been already exited in the past, so they have been restored again. The railway sector is becoming um, less important for infra BIMSTEC transport and environment, favoring the use of rail are unlikely appreciable in the change of trend because uh, not much of people use it. uh, indeed, this Metli Express, which provides a network for the people of Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, and India to travel in all these countries. If you see this, this is the route of Metli Express, which is shown uh, by uh, the black. So this is, from Siliguri starts and travels through northeast or Assam, Lumding, uh, uh, and it enters Bangladesh through Agartala, Dhaka, comes to Kolkata, and from there it goes to Siliguri. So this is a round route which uh, the people can take the benefit of this particular rail link. Agreement signed between PM and this was during her last visit to India as a prime minister. So the latest one was the export of 20 megawatts of power from Nepal to Bangladesh through Indian grid. This was very important for both for Bangladesh and for Nepal. So these are the road routes from India to uh, Bangladesh. Now we come to a little geopolitical. Um, just note Saint Martin Island on the left, Bangladesh. If you go down, you will see the Saint Martin Island just below. And this Saint Martin Island is very close to Myanmar and south of this island is south of Cox's Bazar, not very far from Cox's Bazar of Bangladesh. And it's also close to our Mizoram state. Now, if you remember the story of Imran Khan, he was overthrown. He was in power and he had a great majority. He had a great following. Still, he has great following. And he was requested by US, as he claimed, that to hand over certain bases uh, to permit US to use their bases, which Imran Khan absolutely refused. I know in one of his speeches, he's showing uh, raising his hand and showing some paper. So that paper was uh, the message sent by US to Imran Khan regarding permission to allowing them to use one of the bases which could have been used against Iran, as well as keep an eye on the activities in Afghanistan, in China especially. So this was their aim. But Imran Khan straight away said, I'll not give a single territory of mine, not even an inch to the US. And it is believed that uh, that he was overthrown by US power. And you can mm, you have seen the story. You have seen that Imran Khan still is in jail. And as per the story which is floating around, the US Assistant Secretary of State, Donald Lu, had met Sheikh Hasina some time back and suggested her that the US wanted to make a base at St. Martin Island. It was not only a base, but take over that island, converted into their base, and as per the media reports, I do not know, it cannot be confirmed. They wanted to create a separate country, carve out a separate country with some parts of Myanmar and southern tip of Mizoram also. Yes, Mizoram also. So this was their aim. I regarding Mizoram, it is difficult to believe, but as per what the story is being floated, so this was the aim. But Sheikh Hasina straight away refused. And if you connect both the stories of Imran Khan and Sheikh Hasina, the fingers point at US because it is the same thing, same method which was used, the the power of the people to overthrow. There was a lot of agitation. He was, with the help of court, he was overthrown. Here, with the help of students' agitation, Sheikh Hasina was uh, uh, had to force to resign as the prime minister, and she had to flee her country. So, this is, fingers point towards US, and the US had taken the help through the CIA, through ISI, which was very active, which I think so she could not read. ISI was very active in Bangladesh. The aim was to carve out what we have discussed, and Khalida Zia has been released uh, from the prison, and Muhammad Yunus has been uh, brought to form an interim government. Jamaati Islami is calling the shots in Bangladesh, and CIA, with the help of ISI, has played the game. That is what the as some analysis that they say, not only some, many analysts say. And now this is very critical for India. But this will be impacting our northeastern state. Possibility of infiltration through river areas or through maybe Nepal can create disturbance in northeast India through their sleeper cells, which are there in Assam, who had already infiltrated long time back when the uh, before Sheikh Hasina had come uh, to power, becoming prime minister. So they had infiltrated through uh, uh, in India, create problem in Manipur. Manipur is already there, so they can further create problem in Manipur. China could jump into the troubled waters. Yeah, it's always waiting there. It could jump into troubled waters. Siliguri corridor will just now I'll show you will be targeted. That's what can be targeted. That's what I feel. Create a situation to attract media attention against the government and something like what is happening in JNK and heavy commitment of naturally it will be heavy commitment of our security forces. The security forces will be deployed in Jammu Kashmir. They will be deployed. They have been deployed already facing China border, both in the Ladakh area and in the Arunachal North areas, in southern Tibet, and it will be a now BSF and other forces will be have to be always on alert and have this will be really heavy commitment. So this is what our Siliguri corridor is. It looks like the narrowest part. It connects with northeast India, and this is the only route for northeast India through land in case if we have to avoid Bangladesh. So this is minimum the smallest neck of the chicken neck is 20 by 20 kilometers, as we show you in the map, and the broadest is 180 kilometers. So and the broadest is 90 kilometers. So this is our Siliguri corridor. You can see China on the north, Nepal, Bhutan, and through that you see that between Nepal and Bangladesh is the small corridor which is called a Siliguri corridor. Background is that it's formed in 1947 after the partition of Bengal. This narrow patch, what I told you, and India, China faced off in summer. This is the time when it was an alarming situation for Siliguri corridor. And since then, we are very alert. There are many vulnerable areas and vulnerable points in this area, and which requires protection from ground and from air and from, of course, from the rivers. So this is again, as the crow flies through. This is the different distances: 93 kilometers only from the border of China, 20 kilometers from Nepal, and Bangladesh is the next door. So these are for which can threat to the corridor, sabotage, subversive activities on our vital installations and vulnerable areas. Drone attacks can be there. RT shelling can be there from across the border. strafing, rocketing, airstrike, floating mines, and all these, these are the different types of threat. So for this, we have to be very prepared, very much prepared. A way forward in the last deal Bangladesh government in power tactfully, diplomatically, and politically. Be prepared for any eventuality. With that, ladies and gentlemen, any questions?
Question in Bangladesh. Where does that put India Bangladesh bilateral ties ahead?
Yeah, so what's your question?
That since Sheikh Hasina's government is not in power anymore,
Yeah,
and
that's what I have told you in the last slide. So we have to deal with the government which is in power. We should not allow all these what we have invested in Bangladesh to go as a waste. Though we'll have to wait for some time. We'll have to wait and look and watch for about maybe for a few months, and then uh, get in touch with the government of Bangladesh, whichever is government is in power, maybe the interim government still there, and to get in touch with them. And all these what we have achieved in during last few years, that should carry on, and we should somehow uh, make the Bangladesh authorities agree to that, make them realize that this is very important for both the countries. Connection is very important. Though um, India gains from that, because that is the closest, that is the shortest connection for from Indian mainland to the our northeastern states. So I think so. There would be little resistance initially, but gradually Bangladesh is also going to get benefit, because there are this the project is there. Your uh, the what I showed you, the through our grid, they are getting the energy, and beside that, the fast diesel is also being supplied to them on a concessional rate. So they are also benefiting, and their market is also in India. Their the textile market is in India, so they are also being benefited. So it will be a give and take. Yeah, diplomatically we'll have to tackle Bangladesh.
thank you so much, sir, for that insightful presentation. Our next speaker is Dr. Pushpita Das, a research fellow and coordinator of the Internal Security Center at the Manohar Parrikar Institute for Defense Studies and Analysis in New Delhi. Dr. Das has been at the forefront of research on border security and management, focusing on how India has approached the challenge of securing its borders in an increasingly complex and interconnected world. India's borders are not just physical demarcations but are also symbols of its sovereignty and gateways to regional cooperation. However, these borders are also vulnerable to a range of threats, from cross border terrorism to smuggling and illegal migration. Dr. Das's research has highlighted how India's approach to border management has evolved from a purely defensive stance to a more integrated and cooperative strategy that seeks to balance security with economic development and regional stability. I would like to invite Dr. Pushpita Das to kindly present.
Thank you so much. At the outset, I would like to thank Mr. Sood and Dr. Garg for inviting me to this webinar. I'm really happy to be here. So, I was told to present my views on India-Myanmar border. And since it seems that the audience is quite informed audience, so I will try to make it less boring and I think most of the issues you are aware of, but let's begin by that. So we have, as you all know, a long border with Myanmar. It is 1643 kilometers, and we share this border with four states, that is Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur and Mizoram. Now, if we look at the evolution of India-Myanmar border, it is basically a result of the British policy towards Myanmar, because as and when Britishers started annexing more areas, they started demarcating or defining the border between India and Myanmar. So the first instance can be traced back to the Treaty of Yandabu, in which it was basically a battle between Assam and Burma, and Assam had invited the Britishers to help. And this war led to the defeat of Myanmar, but it also paved the way for Britishers to gradually annex Assam in 1834. And then it started negotiating its borders with Myanmar. And in 1885, Britishers annexed Burma, and then they started delimiting the border between Myanmar and India. So that border actually was an internal border. So in 1894, the border between Manipur and Burma was defined, and in 1901, the border between Mizoram and Burma was defined, and finally in 1967, after independence in March, India and Myanmar signed a border agreement delineating and demarcating the border between the two. Now, if you look at the nature of the border, like during the time of independence, the border was not demarcated fully. There were areas of differences between India and Myanmar, but since we had good relations between these two countries, it didn't matter much. But gradually, as insurgency started flaring up in the northeast, beginning with the Naga insurgency in 1956, followed by Meiteis and Mizo's insurgency in 64 and 66, government of India was quite alarmed. It was also alarmed by the fact that there was transgressions not only by the insurgents but also the security forces between the two countries. So as a result of this, they realized that it is high time that they should have a properly defined and demarcated border between the two countries. So a border agreement was signed on 10th of March 1967. Now, as I said, the border is fully demarcated except 171 kilometers in Cubao Valley, which is around 35 kilometers of border which is left to be demarcated, and a 131 kilometer stretch along in Arunachal Pradesh. There are a number of unresolved patches. For example, the pillar numbers between 79 and 81 are disputed, and because of that, we had to shift our ICP in Moray to a new area, which, as a result of which, the construction and operationalization of the ICP took time, and it had created tensions between the two countries. Now, what are the kind of security challenges that we face from Myanmar? These are basically non-conventional in nature, and the threats and challenges emerge primarily because of the nature of the border and the location of the border. Now, one of the issues some 11 years back was the transgression of Myanmar's army and police into villages in India, and it was in August 2013, and it had created lots of issues because of the disputed nature of the border, and it created tension between India and Myanmar. Now, how is the nature of the border? It is extremely porous, and the porosity is basically because of cross-border ties. Also because of the free movement regime, which is in existence between the two countries, and also because of the terrain of the border. Now, as far as cross-border ethnic linkages are concerned, there are a number of tribes who reside on both sides of the border, and they actually maintain their strong socio-economic and cultural ties with their kith and kin or their relatives who are residing on other side of the border. Now, as a result of which, what happens is that they do not actually respect the sanctity of the borders, and it hampers the crystallization of the border as a line demarcating two sovereign nations. So the border between India and Myanmar remains blurred because of the strong ties that the tribes maintain with each other on the other side of the border. It is not about maintaining tribes, it is not realizing or respecting the sanctity of the border and crossing it at will and any place they want. In a way, it is violating the nature or the violation of the international border. Second most interesting thing which is between India and Myanmar is the existence of free border or free movement regime. Now, as you all know that free movement regime is an outcome of the realization between both India and Myanmar that the tribes who reside in these remote areas, they share very strong ties amongst each other, and they actually constitute a single socio-economic and cultural landscape. And the border which divides these two communities creates problem for them to maintain their culture and tradition. So recognizing that way back in 1948, when Burma got independence, it incorporated in its Passport Act that the tribes who are residing in the countries surrounding Burma and who are residing in 25 miles with of area, they were allowed to enter into Burma without any passport or visa restrictions. Now, on the part of India, we also realize that the tribes need to maintain their strong ethnic bondage along with each other. So we should also, as a reciprocal gesture, do the same thing. So in September 1950, we made amendments to our Passport Entry into India Act, and we allowed the people who are, or the tribesmen who are residing on the Indian side of the border to travel to Burma, and the tribesmen who are residing in Burma to enter into India. So the initial area which was permitted was 25 miles or 40 kilometers. But as I said, that in 1960s, insurgency flared up in a big way, and we became extremely concerned about this free movement. And so we tried to restrict this by introducing the concept of permits. It said that any tribesman who wishes to cross into India from Burma and from India into Burma should carry a passport, and accordingly we introduced a permit. Accordingly, we introduced this permit system in August 1968. So this whole system continued for more than 40 years. But in late 1990s and early 2000s, again, we realized that the movement of insurgents, the trafficking of drugs, etc., were increasing at an alarming rate. And we needed to do something. And then again, we started making provisions or changes to the free movement regime. And we said that the permissible kilometers has to be reduced. So from 40, it was made 16 kilometers, which means 10 miles. So people, or the tribes people who are residing on either side of the border, can travel for a distance of 16 kilometers only. And it also said that there are 3 points through which they can go through, that is Zokhatar in Mizoram, More in Myanmar, and More in Manipur, and Pangso Pass in Arunachal Pradesh. But we did not have a formal arrangement or agreement with Myanmar on this issue. It was just a tacit agreement between the two countries. So we had sent a memorandum of understanding to Burma to study the whole system of free movement regime. And finally, in 2018, we signed an agreement allowing the free movement regime, and this was institutionalized. Now, as a result of this free movement regime, while the tribes people were able to maintain their strong socio-cultural and economic ties, but it was also exploited by infiltrators to cross the borders wherever and whenever they feel like crossing it. and this had created serious security issues for the Indian government. Now, terrain, as you all know, are extremely rugged. It is heavily forested, and population is also sparse. The level of development in these border areas are extremely reduced, and the terrain is such that it does not lend itself for any kind of civilian or military constructions. For example, building roads are extremely difficult, and even if you build roads, they are washed away during monsoon seasons. It is difficult to build any security infrastructure like fences or border outpost or company based outpost in these area. And because of the heavily forested terrain, because of lack of proper roads, patrolling of these areas are extremely difficult, and as a result of which the security or of these border is extremely compromised. Now, location of the border is another problem. This border actually transverses a region which is plagued by insurgencies, as I already mentioned: Nagas, Mizos, Metis, Kukis, insurgents, and these insurgents circulate through the border at will. Another problem, as far as the border is concerned, is its location close to the Golden Triangle, or what is called as the Death Triangle by some Indian leaders. Now, as you all know, that Golden Triangle is one of the major producer of opium and other synthetic drugs like amphetamine type stimulants and other chemicals, etc. So this also creates lots of problems for India. Now, given this kind of nature of the border and the location of the border, what are the threats and challenges that we face? First is, of course, the cross-border movement of insurgents. As I've said, that insurgents have been crossing the border and they have set up bases in Myanmar, and they use these bases to rest, recoup, and plan for launching any offensive in future. And then they enter India, carry out their terrorist activities or subversive activities, and when they are chased by the security forces, they conveniently cross the border and then hide in these safe havens. Now, the existence of these camps in the neighboring areas also encourages fraternal ties between the insurgent groups. So there are a number of insurgent groups operating in different parts of India, for example, parts of Northeast, for example, the Nagas, Metis, Kukis, etc. So it helps them develop ties so that they can pooling their resources, and also they can operate in areas which are not usually their areas of influence. So it gives them a lot of resources. It also gives them the courage and the wherewithal to expand their areas of operation. And for example, we know that there have been groups who have tried to form forums, something like Burma Revolutionary Front and United Liberation Front of West Southeast Asia, etc. Now, these kind of fronts and forums are formed in order to jointly work against the Indian state. Now, as I said, that trafficking of narcotics and drugs is another security threat which is coming from Myanmar. So you can see the roots. Now, the drugs and narcotics which are produced in the Golden Triangle areas are smuggled into India, and on the reverse side, a number of precursor chemicals which are used for the production of heroin and other synthetic drugs are transported out from India into the factories or laboratories which are set up quite close to the India-Myanmar border. These chemicals are easily available in India because India has one of the largest pharmaceutical base, and as far as a regulation of the movement of these chemicals and drugs are concerned, are extremely poor. Now, More is a major route through which narcotics and drugs are smuggled, and as a result of the availability of the drugs, most of the population in Manipur as well as in Nagaland and to some extent in Arunachal Pradesh have become drug addict, and they are also suffering from other diseases like AIDS, HIV, etc. Now, it is generally said that insurgent groups are not directly involved with drug trafficking. It might be correct as far as the bigger or larger insurgent groups are concerned, because what they do is that they levy a transit or a protection fees from the drug smugglers, so that their consignment can be transported easily through their areas of influence. But there are smaller insurgent groups, for example, the KCP or the Khanglai Pak Communist Party of Manipur, etc. They actually are directly involved in drug trafficking, and they do so because to generate funds to sustain their so-called struggle against the Indian government. Now, apart from drug trafficking, we also know that smuggling of guns are another problem. Now, there are a number of sources as far as the guns are concerned. These are in black markets of Southeast Asia, the mafias which operate in Yunnan, and again there is a major insurgent group of Burma, which is called the United State Army, who are the major sources of guns for the insurgent groups who are operating in the northeast. So these guns are also, or weapons are also smuggled into India. And one of the provisions of FMR, which is exploited by the insurgents, is that it says that the tribesmen, when they are crossing the border, can carry items which is equivalent to a headload. So these headloads are usually not checked by the security forces, and it is in these headloads that most of the guns are also, or weapons are smuggled into the country. Now, apart from this, there are also smuggling of consumer items is quite rampant. As you all know that in Moreh, there is adjacent to Moreh in Myanmar, there is a small market called Namfalong market, and from where the items which are produced in the Southeast Asia, China, etc., are smuggled into India without paying. Not smuggled, they are brought in full view of the security forces and the customs officials who are present, and without any customs duty, etc. And they carry it as a head load, all the items. And as a result of which, we see a number of markets which have sprung up in Imphal and also in Mizoram, etc., who are basically thriving on the items which are smuggled into India in order to be traded in India. Now, when we ask the custom official as to why do they look the other way when they can see that these are being smuggled in, then they say that since we do not have access to national markets or the items which are coming from rest of India, this is the easiest way, and it kind of fulfills the needs of the consumers, especially in these far-flung areas. Now, given all these problems, what has been the response of the Indian government as far as the management of the border is concerned? As you all know, there are four elements to managing any borders. These are guarding the borders, regulating the traffic at the entry and exit point along the border, development of the border areas, and also cooperating with the neighbors. So, as far as border guarding is concerned, in 2001, the Task Force on Border Management had stipulated that a single border guarding force will be deployed along a single international border under the principle of one border, one force. So, accordingly, the Assam Rifles, which were till then a counterinsurgency force, was redesignated as a border guarding force and given the responsibility of guarding the India-Myanmar border. But out of 46 battalions of Assam Rifles, only 15 battalions are deployed along India-Myanmar border, and rest of the battalions are engaged in counter-insurgency operations. Another interesting aspect of the deployment of the Assam Rifles along the border is concerned is that unlike other borders like India-Bangladesh border or India-Pakistan border, the BOPs or the border outposts are established in a linear fashion all along the border, from where regular patrolling are sent out in order to keep an eye on the border. But as far as Myanmar is concerned, there are no BOPs, but there is something called the company operated bases, which are located quite inside the in the hinterland. Now, there are arguments as to why they are located inside. They said that given the nature of the border, what the Assam Rifle or any counterinsurgency force is mandated to do is to interdict any movement of the insurgents. And since insurgents can't cross the border from all along all the areas, they come through specific routes. So these COBs are actually constructed on those routes in order to intercept any kind of movement of insurgents. And another argument is this, that COBs are there because the major objective of the border guarding forces or the counterinsurgent force which is there is to make sure that the population in these areas are protected. So in order to protect the population of these areas, these COBs has to be constructed which are closer to the population centers. Now, as far as India-Myanmar border is concerned, we have been talking about construction of fences, and since 2004 onwards, we have embarked on a project of constructing fences. Now, initially, the aim was to construct only 10 kilometers of fence, where there is the incidence of high frequency of movement of insurgents, and especially along Moreh. So out of 10 kilometers, we were able to construct only 4 kilometers at that point of time because of the objections raised by Myanmar, because that area was disputed. But finally, as of now, I hear that the entire 10 kilometers have been fenced off, and now government is mulling about fencing the entire India-Myanmar border, which to my mind is not going to be a very easy job given the terrain and given the fact that it is a very heavily forested border area. Now, second is regulating the traffic. As I said, there are three designated entry points of entry and exit along the border, but basically there are two, Moreh and Zokhatar. Pansu Pass is a more informal entry and exit point. Pansu Pass is through which people can travel across Burma, and Burmese people can get into India. But it is for the border trade which happened. Again, that border trade is not formalized, and who have availed permits as part of the free movement regime and want to move. So apart from that, only Moreh and Zokhatar are the main points to which people can enter and exit India. Now, with Moreh, we have formalized an overland international trade with Myanmar, but with Zokhatar, we only have border trade. And as I said, with Pangsu Pass, we have traditional markets. Now, in order to secure our borders and to make sure that no contraband or any kind of insurgents enter into India through these designated points of entry and exit, we had constructed integrated checkpost at Moreh, which basically is catering to the trade between the two countries, and we have installed quite state-of-the-art X-rays and scanners, etc. And we have also provided number of facilities like banking, parking, warehousing, etc. And as far as the two other border areas are concerned, or points are concerned, we have upgraded the infrastructure along the border. Now, the third is the development of the border areas. As I said, that the India-Myanmar border is characterized by a very underdeveloped and economically depressed areas. And to address that problem, the government of India had extended the border area development program to India-Myanmar border in 1993. The major objective is to build critical infrastructure or to address the felt needs of the border population, and also to provide economic opportunities to this border population so that they do not indulge in any kind of illegal activities, and also to instill a sense of security among them. Now, as far as the board, as far as the BADP is concerned, it has not been able to actually meet the objectives it was set out to be because of a number of problems. First is that massive corruption is one of the issues. Second is that the local population are, and most of them are not aware of any such program, and their participation is not facilitated as far as BADP is concerned, and as a result of which this program is more or less a failure. And over the period of time, we have seen as the funds which is sanctioned under BADP has also gradually been reduced. Apart from BADP, the government of India has also introduced a scheme for border trade. Now, this border trade, what it does is that it allows the border people to trade their surplus items for anything which is essential for them, and for which no customs duties are levied. And people who reside along 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers along the border can trade with their counterpart on the other side of the border. So accordingly, we started border trade with along Moray in 1995, and around 9 years later, we opened another trading point in Zokhatar in 2004. Now, it is interesting that in the peace accord that we signed with the Mizo National Front in 1968, one of the provisions in that agreement was opening up of a border trade. Now, it took a lot of time for India to actually open a border trading point with Zokhatar. Now, today, the Moray trading point has been closed down for border trade because overland international trade has begun from Moray. And in Zokhatar, it still continues. But as you know, the items which are traded in these border trading points are very low. For example, as far as Zokhatar is concerned, in 2014 there were only two items which were traded. That was betel nuts and reed brooms. Now, over the period of time, India had levied around 400% duty on import of betel nut from Myanmar, and as a result of which border trade between the two countries have stopped. But again, as I said, illegal trade continues, or informal trade, as you say, and a lot of items are brought in from Myanmar into India through the Zokhatar point. Last but not least is cooperation with Myanmar. We had India and Myanmar had realized that you cannot secure your borders without proper cooperation, and for this you need to interact with each other. And to have that kind of interaction, we had established a number of bilateral institutional mechanisms which meet regularly, nationally, sectorally, regionally, locally, etc. And a number of officials who are involved with border security and management are actually involved in these interactions. For example, border guarding forces are there. We have ministers, we have secretaries, surveyor generals, anti-narcotics officials, and these had actually provided very good platform for the officials to sensitize each other about their security needs, and also to develop a rapport between the nodal officers, so that during a point of crisis we are able to help each other. So this has resulted in quite successful operations or outcomes. For example, we had conducted coordinated operations against insurgents. We have also conducted coordinated patrolling of the border areas, etc. Now, in conclusion, I would like to say that security of the border against insurgents, traffickers, and criminals is extremely necessary. For that, we have to beef up our guarding capabilities along the border. Only deploying 15 battalions of Assam Rifle is not conducive, and we need to give Assam Rifles the full mandate to guard the border and pull it out from anti-insurgency operations from in the northeast, because northeast more or less have stabilized, and we hope that it continues to be stabilized despite the fact that we had such a turmoil in Bangladesh and in Myanmar. And in place of Assam Rifle, maybe the CRPF can be deployed to carry out counter-insurgency operations, because CRPF is designated as a premier internal security force in the country. And most importantly, I also think that the local people has to be sensitized about their location, and also has to be sensitized about their gestures, their activities, which actually jeopardizes the security of the country. So they can maintain their strong cross-border linkages, but they also have to respect the sanctity of the international border. Again, the state governments also has to be equally sensitized. They have to be incentivized somehow to not entertain ideas which are detrimental to the security of the country. For example, we have seen that when the coup happened in Myanmar, Indian government had given orders to the border states of Nagaland, Manipur, and Mizoram to seal their borders, but we have seen that Mizoram had defied the central orders, and they have said that these are our kith and kin, and it is our duty to provide them with relief and rehabilitation. But it has led to lots of problems, as we have seen in Manipur, and ethnic problem in Manipur. So in order to maintain internal peace and security of the border, the state governments along with the local populations should cooperate with the union government. And of course, it's easier said than done, but we have to make sure that the infrastructure along the borders are taken care of. The infrastructure requirements of the border population, the well-being of the border population has to be taken into account, so that the border population stay put in these areas, and they also help in guarding the borders. And finally, I think we have to continue engaging with Myanmar. Now it is extremely difficult, but we had done successfully in past 5 6 years. But now, because of the political turmoil in Myanmar, it is extremely difficult to engage with them. But we have to be optimistic, and whosoever is in power, we should engage with them so as to we can better secure our borders. So thank you so much. Open to question and answers. Do you have any questions?
I have one question if no one else has. Uh, how do you see that this suspension of free movement regime? How can we sort of enforce that? Do you see any possibility? Because there are, besides a few formal channels, there I'm sure are more than 150, 200 informal channels, and with villages located right on the boundary line, on the border, even the villages bifurcated on both sides. Is there any possibility of it being actually implemented, enforced rather?
No, in my mind, it cannot be. As you rightly said, that there are houses on the borders, there are villages which are on the borders. People do not respect the international border. In fact, you must be knowing that Manipur had suspended this FMR way back into 2022. But what has happened? As a state government, it has not been able to stop people from crossing, because you have been to these border areas and you know that people can just cross from whichever areas they want. It is the cooperation of the border population which is required. If they don't cooperate, I think it is not possible, near impossible, to actually implement the suspension of FMR. And suspension of FMR, going to help. It is just public posturing and nothing else.
True. And another point, this FMR is reciprocal. We responded to Myanmar's provision in their Passport Act and allowed this. Yeah. So is there no bilateral agreement on this? I think you referred to it, but I've forgotten the context.
Well, for a long time, there was none. In fact, as I said, in 2004, we had said that there will be 3 areas through which permits will be allowed, and we had also reduced the the kilometers which the tribes can travel. So at that point of time, we had sent a draft MOU to Myanmar to look into it. But after a long time, in only 2018, that we had signed the border agreement with Myanmar, in which the provisions of FMR were included. So today we have a formal arrangement with Myanmar, and to suspend unilaterally, it is not going to happen, because we need to also, talk to Myanmar regarding this.
So this unilateral suspension by India has actually no meaning.
No meaning.
No.
It is, you're going back to your promise.
Yes.
That's what it says. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the excellent presentation. I've been enlightened with many more aspects of management of Indo-Myanmar border. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Das, for that comprehensive analysis. Our next speaker for today is Mr. Surjit Singh Galeria, a highly respected figure in the field of border security and disaster management. Mr. Galeria retired as an Inspector General from the Government of India after a distinguished career spanning over 36 years. His expertise in strategic planning, risk assessment, and crisis management has been instrumental in shaping India's border security policy. With an MBA in disaster management from Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, Mr. Galeria has also been involved in numerous disaster response, showcasing his ability to manage crises effectively. Sir, we would like to invite you to kindly present.
Very good morning, and thank you very much for the organizer to give me this opportunity to be part of this webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, in fact, it is an honor to presenting my thoughts to the esteemed students, or say the researchers, on the topic called border security and the regional dynamics, that is western and eastern border. Earlier speakers, they have already given, like Mr. Anil Kamboj, given overview of the whole eastern border, and then Dr. Pushpita Das has covered the Myanmar border. So I would be touching upon, the very important part of eastern borders, and that is the border of Bangladesh with the state of West Bengal. The sequence of my presentation would be like I would be talking on national security paradigm and what are the challenges on the West Bengal border, that is with the Bangladesh, and the impact of India's security in view of the current turmoil in Bangladesh. So accordingly, I will proceed. This is a slide, which you can see the international border, land border and coastal border of India. We have border with Bangladesh, that is the longest border. It is 496.7 kilometer, and it is the longest. It is the fifth longest border in the world, and one of the most dangerous or active border, as far as, if you do the comparison in view of the problems which have been taking place on this border since the time Bangladesh has come into existence. Gentlemen, this is a very important quote. The Friedrich Rachel, he was an German geographer and an authority on the political geography. He has been a famous ethnographer, and he has said that secured and developed borders are symbolic of national development, power, and security. This quote itself contains a lot of meaning. I have seen my experiences that those countries which are developed country, if you look at their borders, you will find that up to the zero line, you will find the people are very happy, maintaining very good life standard. It is as good as, like in their country, people sitting in the capital of that country. But in the country which are underdeveloped, developing country, or you can see in Asia, economic place, especially the borders with China, the living conditions of the people, they are so poor that they have been started migrating from the borders area. And if that is so, then we are vacating our own border areas where people are migrating, and a very, very dangerous trend. So government of India has given a thought on that also, especially in Himachal and Uttarakhand. Efforts are being done to improve the life standard of the people so that they should not migrate. Now, as far as the national security is concerned, yes, we need to have proper border guarding. The border should be properly secured. Why we need to secure the border? Because our national security is threatened. Now, if you see this quote, which has come from Kautilya, the great statesman and the philosopher, the Prime Minister of Chandragupta Maurya, he says that there are four kinds of danger to the national security. The one is which comes from the external origin and internal abatement. Second is internal origin and external abatement. The third is external origin and external abatement. And the fourth is internal origin and internal abatements. Now you can correlate. Now you look like in Kashmir, we have problem for the last many years. And in this case, you can take it in this way, that internal origin and external abatement. Pakistan is supporting, other countries, they have interest. So mainly these are the four regions, the four kind of dangers which are very, very rightly brought out by Kautilya many years back. And it is said that the internal threats are more dangerous than the external threat. Look at Bangladesh. The problem of internal troubles. It was like a lurking snake, when opportunity came, the lurking snake will immediately, will get up and bite. So internal problems are very important to be addressed. Now, gentlemen, as far as this slide is concerned, it is a national security paradigm. Now, national security paradigms are basically, these are the interplay of internal and external environments. You look at these cog of wheels. Now here the national interest, national goals and national strengths, they are all interdependent. They are all dependent. If one is achieved, second can only be achieved. So this way. And the geopolitical factor, that how we are having a relation with the international level. Are we part of the main, the group of the country like G7, G20? How social culture of our country within our country is there? That defines, that affects the national security. And then yes, military should be very, very important. There is no second thought. In addition to this, how economically sound we are, that also have a great bearing on the national security. And the science and technology of any country, that plays a very, very important role in enhancing our national security. In fact, these are the element of national security. And you can just see each and every element of this national security. National security in general, it is thought that how mighty our military is. No, that is not the case. And these are the all elements which enhances, which improves, which defines your national security. So the border security is a very, very important, which plays a very important role in the national security on which we are discussing. So these are the various elements. The national security objectives should be that we should protect our sovereignty, territorial integrity should be protected, secured all the time. And India as a country should find a respectable place in the international affairs, and there should be a peaceful environment within the country. If that is so, then you will find the people will be prosperous, the justice is being given to them, equal opportunities are being given to them, and they are shielded from any kind of risk and livelihood. So if these objectives are attained, we are certainly going to achieve our national security objective. And generally, these are the three kind of threats to the national security, which the security planner and strategist, they should keep in mind. And accordingly, they should strategize. Strategy should be made. That is the international, regional, and internal. So we should try to overcome that which kind of threats are coming, and those should be overcome. If it is international, it should be dealt at international level, strategic level, that we should be part of the various bodies at the world level. Regional, like if in Asia, we should have better relations with our neighbor. Let it be, the Nepal, Bangladesh, or smaller country. These are all sovereign country, and even a smallest country, has got lot of importance, lot of nuisance value for any country. Now you look at Ukraine and USSR, correction, the Russia war which is taking place. A very small country, but this war is prolonging. It's taking years now. So what I mean, the smallest sovereign country neighbor is very, very important. It has greater role on our national security. So, gentlemen, as far as India is concerned, yes, now we have changed our stance from our defensive posture to offensive now. We have a retaliatory strategic approach, जिसे कहते हैं कि घुस के मारेंगे. So that kind of strategy is there. It is said that offense is the best defense. So with this back, the borders of West Bengal with Bangladesh, and the West Bengal is one of the most critical state having border with Bangladesh. Now, why so? You can see the Bangladesh was created in 1971, or earlier it was East Pakistan in 47. And if you go further long back in 1905, East and West Pakistan, East and West Bengal, they were created by the Britishers. So even at present, in the present turmoil, we need to understand the complexities of West Bengal border with Bangladesh. The length of this border is 2,217 kilometers, which is the longest in comparison to other 4 states. There are 5 states, and it has got the longest border. There are 9 districts of state of West Bengal which share border with Bangladesh. Just for your information, you see how the country is. This state of West Bengal is elongated. This map will give you the idea. And then the distance of Dhaka from Kolkata is 320 kilometers. And the distance of Dhaka from Siliguri is 482 kilometers. In Bangladesh, they do not have any concept of states like we have. We have got 28 states and 8 union territory. In case of Bangladesh, they have got 8 administrative divisions for the purpose of administration. They have got 64 districts in total for their administration. The density of population is highest in the world. It is 1121 per square kilometer. Immigration, infiltration, human trafficking. Now, this problem is existing on this border since the time Bangladesh has come into existence, or in fact, when there was East Pakistan, since that area. Because the Hindu population which opted to stay in East Pakistan in 1947, they have regularly started migrating. They are coming, and in a large number they have already come. There are Hindus also, even Muslims have also come in a large number in our country. The challenges of border management in the state of West Bengal is the smuggling of gold. At present, the gold smuggling in a huge quantity has been taking place. the Java tablets. It is a drugs which give a kick, and youth, they have been taking this. It is quite cheap in comparison to heroin. Then ganja, cattle smuggling, fake Indian currency notes, the fensidyl. Fensidyl is a kind of cup syrup which is used by the youth in Bangladesh, because being an Islamic country, the liquor is banned in that country. So this fensidyl is proving an alternative to them. Then presence of insurgent and militants. Now this is a problem. Though for the last 15 years, situation in the whole Northeast was under control, peaceful, except now recently the Manipur has blared up. But the presence of insurgents and militants is there, but they are, at present, they are into the sleeping mode. But now, in the time to come, you may find that they will get up. Then to deal with the corrupt official, that is also a big problem of the border management. Whether these corrupt officials are from the border security force, or from any of the central intelligence agency, or from the state administration. This is also a problem which create a big challenge for the border management in the state of West Bengal. And then to deal with the local society along the border area. That's a big challenge especially to the border security force, that how to deal with these people who are socio-economically so wretched, so poor. It is really difficult. So these are the major challenges which are posed for the border management. Now, these are the contributing factor for the various crimes on the border. The border is very porous, a large stretch of unfenced border. Generally, as a common citizen of country, everyone must be thinking that if BSF is deployed on the border, how come there is a threat of infiltration? How people must be coming inside? Yes, in general it is okay, but the fact is that the eastern border of the country are not as good as the western border of the country in terms of the standard of putting the infrastructure. So that's a big problem, because we have taken in the past that Bangladesh is a friendly country and it doesn't have much of the threat. So that has been the attitude of the successive central government. So the border management level, border guarding level in the eastern side has not come up the level of the western side. Then there are Charland. Charland, is a riverine border, as a result of which there is a thick growth, a larger area, rivers are there. It provides a lot of cover to the anti-national element for the trans-border crimes. Then population is residing right up to the zero line. There are around 154 villages on the eastern borders. I'm talking this about all 5 states in the eastern borders, which are having border with Bangladesh. These villages are situated ahead of the fencing or on the zero line, and that villages are divided, half in Bangladesh and half in this side. These are the villages which provide a lot of scope for trans-border crimes. One study was made in which it was found that 60% of crimes have been taking place from these areas. So now how to shift these villages in the hinterland, in the rear, that's a big problem, and no political party has been taking this job, to ensure the national security. Then border is mountainous, dense forests are there, there are rivers and rivulets are there. So the terrain is favorable for the criminals. Then you will find the religious and linguistic affinity between population on either side. So people in a large number have already migrated, half of their relations are staying this side on the border. The local government, they have always facilitated these the illegal migrant for the boat bank. So that's a big problem for the border security force to stop, the border crimes. Then I said the widespread poverty among the border population on both sides. So if poverty will be there, most of the people which are staying on the border, they have adopted smuggling as their profession. they don't find that smuggling is bad. For them, it is a profession. It's a way of life. It is only the BSF is there which try to stop their business, stop it. Then there is a lure of easy money. Those agencies which are deployed on the border, they get very good allurement, for the easy money. So the corrupt officials, they get trapped into that. So this is a factor which is contributing to the crime. The government of India, since 2002, I think, they have adopted non-lethal strategy with the Bangladesh. That means that instead of using proper arms, we have to use PAG, the pump action gun, against the smugglers or anti-national element. So this strategy has emboldened the smugglers or the trans-border criminals to do the forceful crimes on the border because they are not afraid. Then strong support on either side of the IB for smuggling activities. People on both sides, even the local administration at certain places, even the political dispensation, they are pro for smuggling kind of activities. So these are the factors which are contributing for the border crime. Just this is for your information that as far as the smuggling activities are concerned, outgoing items and incoming items. This cattle smuggling, earlier it used to be in a very huge quantity, huge number. Now it has almost come down. It's only few cattle, they are smuggled. Then I already told you the fancy deal, narcotic, Yaba tablets, gold, silver, ornament, liquor, garments, saris, BD and other miscellaneous items are outgoing item from India to Bangladesh. And incoming is gold, silver, fake Indian currency notes, other miscellaneous items, then protected wild species and snake venom. These are the items which are smuggled on the border. As I told that large-scale illegal migration of Bangladeshi into India has been the most serious problem on this border since last 5 decades. And this continuous migration has already, brought imbalance in the population on the border. The Muslim population has grown many times more than the local Hindu population, especially in these districts of Bihar, eastern states, and West Bengal on the border areas. Just for your knowledge, in the last 5 years, the 20,486 Bangladeshis were intercepted by the BSF, out of which in the state of West Bengal, that is South Bengal and North Bengal frontier, this many numbers in this state only, which is more than, I think, 80 or 90%, 80%. This many number of, so this state is so vulnerable for migration. Similarly, if you look at this slide, the Rohingyas, which are camped in Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh, they are also infiltrating in our side in a small number. Look at this in the last 4 years, up to 30th June data I have got. It is 202 and 12 in the North Bengal total, out of 300 total in the whole eastern border. So I was telling that non-lethal strategy, yes, it was on 24 February 2012 between India and Bangladesh to reduce the loss of life, death of miscreants and smugglers, and to develop cordial and friendly relation between both the countries. This policy was adopted, in which the use of pump action gun, stun grenade, chili grenades, dye marker grenades, etc., are to be used for this non-lethal strategy. Gentlemen, Sundarban is one of the gray area. Our border is up to the estuary point, is the last point in the Bay of Bengal. And from estuary point, if you go further to Bay of Bengal, it is 12 nautical mile from where actual sea starts. And this 12 nautical mile area is almost unguarded, which is taken care of by the coastal police of the state of West Bengal, and they are not very good, well equipped, as a result of which this area is exploited by the smugglers, and it can be exploited by the militant, by the international element for the infiltration in future. The Mumbai killing that which Kasab and Patti has done after getting infiltrated, after coming through the sea route. Similarly, this Sundarban area has got the potential that if Bangladeshi militant, they want to come in large number to exploit this area, they can do it. Now, from the estuary point, if you come to this side, that is the north side, the 63.2 kilometer area is such where there is no land border. There are floating BOPs are there with the BSF, and from those BOPs, we have been guarding this border. And Sundarban area is required to be properly guarded. It provides a good cover and it is threat to our security. I would like to touch upon the Farakka Barrage area also. Farakka Barrage is a big dam which is made in Murshidabad district. And it is in the district Malda of West Bengal. Remaining part, some portion comes in Murshidabad and other come in the Malda district. Now, this border is near to the international boundary, that is Jharkhand, West Bengal. Pakur is an area which is in Jharkhand, very close to National Highway 34. Now, why I am telling this Pakur and area? In these areas, you know, Jharkhand or Pakur, a lot of Bangladeshi have already entered in the last few years and have made their villages. National Highway 34 runs to Padma and Bhagirathi rivers, parallel to it from Kolkata to Siliguri. This NH 34 runs, and on that this barrage is there. So this from the barrage, the IV is only 18 kilometer, and further when this water recedes during after the monsoon, the whole area becomes full of wild growth, elephant grass, which provide good coverage to the miscreants. This is the slide which will show you that the barrage and then how this river. This is a place called Khandua BOP. It goes into the Bangladesh after covering this about 18 kilometer. And during rainy season, the smugglers, what they do, they put their goods in the river, and these are get automatically swayed into Bangladesh. And Bangladeshi smugglers, they will catch hold of these articles, especially the cattle. They are put in the river, and this river get widened by 4 kilometer during the winter with a lot of during the rainy season and with lot of current. It's a big challenge to stop trans-border crimes happening in this area. Now, gentlemen, on this West Bengal border, there are these are the trains, good trains, which when the two countries in which trade takes place. That is Haldibadi to Chilihati, Radhikapur to Birol, Singhabad to Rohanbad, Gede to Darshana, and Bangaon to Benapur. So in these areas, these trains, they have been taking material, as Mr. Kamboj told you, that 18 billion trade with the Bangladesh is one of the biggest partner in the South Asia. And these now why these are this one side, it is providing us the chances for the trade, but at the same time the criminals, they also make use of these routes. Even the corrupt officials, if somebody is corrupt in the custom, they will make use of these routes for their interest. Similarly, there are 3 trains which go from India to Bangladesh. That is Maitri Express. It goes 5 days a week. It goes from Kolkata to Dhaka. Then Bandhan Express. It goes it passed through Kolkata to Khulna, and Midali Express. And these trains, you know, in which passengers they come and go. In these trains also, the smugglers, they try to carry out their smuggling activities. This is the challenges on the border, and you can see that there are villages which are located on the international boundary, in which half of the house is in Bangladesh and half of the house is in India. So that kind of scene is there at many places on the Indo-Bangladesh border in the state of West Bengal. These are the few photographs that during rainy season, the situation becomes like this. Now, how the border is guarded at present, that is with the improvised fencing. There is a proper fencing, but at the same time, improvised fencing is also there. It is only about 55% the border of state of West Bengal is fenced and remaining is unfenced because of the riverine terrain. So at certain places, improvised fencing is there. In this border, there is no current is passed through the on the fencing, as it is done in the western border. Then use of handheld thermal imagers, cameras, etc. That is being done. During daytime, observation posts are there. During night time, ambush camp patrols are there. Then foot patrol, vehicle patrol, boat patrolling is done to dominate this border. Adequate manpower is being deployed. Then civic action programs are also done so that we should win over the heart of the people so that they should come and support us. Now, gentlemen and ladies, a very important point I would like to tell you here that during elections in our country, you will find after every month or 2 months, some kind of elections does take place in our country. And to protect this democracy, whenever there is a requirement of the troops are withdrawn from the border. In the recently held elections of parliament, it's more than 50%, about 48% troops were withdrawn from the eastern border. Now the border, which is already so volatile, already so vulnerable for the trans-border crimes, if this much of force is taken out, then what would be the state of our national security? And these things are not addressed by the government for the last many years. As a border management experts, these points have been taken up many times, but there is no heed to the suggestions given by the border security force. Now, as far as the troops are concerned on the border, they have certain kind of problems, like the smugglers. They come in large number. Many times they do the force attempt to do the smuggling, and the BSF, they have been using the pump action gun many times, and then they are resorting into the violence also on our troops as far as during night specimen border guarding is done. Then prolonged duty hours. If you look at the life of a BSF person, you will find among all the security forces, the BSF Jawan is most committed person, in the sense that from 12 to 16 hours, the BSF borderman has to perform the duty on the border. That is the situation. Why so? Because borders are longer, the strength is less, resources are less, and ultimately responsibility is there that we have to stop the trans-border crimes. So this is a problem, and ultimately it is tolling upon the health of the troops. There are people say it's more than 10 to 12% the low medical category persons are there. This is the only force where you find that during night, when in general we all come to our house to have a rest during night, but border security force personnel, the borderman, when there is a in the evening is coming, he will pack up all his equipment, his weapons, his surveillance devices, and will go to the border for the whole night to give the duty. So that is the situation. So border duty is quite monotonous, and due to the regular continuous deployment for the prolonged hours and various commitment like election duty or some other kind of duties, so BSF training, the collective training is badly affected. So this also affect the leave plan. Persons cannot go to their home to attend their personal commitment many times. So these are the challenges which affect the morale of the troops as well. Gentlemen and ladies, the chicken neck already explained to you that it is about 200 kilometer of the neck. At certain places, the closest is 21 to 22 kilometer. Now, if you look at this, China, this red spot is Doklam, and this area is Chumbi Valley. From here, the Siliguri is the Indian border is about 93 kilometer. So China has been very much interested that in Doklam they should have there some kind of base. They should construct a road over there. So which Indian forces, government of India, they did not allow them to do it. So this chicken neck has been in the news that the China and the radical element, they would like to choke this part, because we are connected to the whole northeast through this chicken neck. So that itself is a big problem for our borders, which we need to protect and ensure. In this area, Nepal is just 20 kilometer. The distance is 20 kilometer from one side of the border to the Nepal side. Nepalis can come to India without any visa, passport, and we have our interest because Hasimora, Bagdora air bases are in this area. Then gas pipelines and railway lines which go to northeast passes through these areas. So for Government of India to protect this chicken neck is very, very important. And there is a threat that the Bangladeshi and Nepalis, after getting infiltrated, they are trying to get habitation in this area. So that problem is being taken care of. Government of India has taken special steps. Additional troops are being provided to secure this area all the time. Now, I would like to touch upon the present Bangladesh crisis, that how it is going to affect the Indian the security challenges and what strategy we should have to do it. Now, turmoil in Bangladesh has adversely affected the regional stability in this area, and it has been told that the USA, China, ISI, Pakistan, they all have been the player to create this problem in Bangladesh with the help of Jamaat-e-Islam, the Bangladesh National Party, Khalida Jihad Party, etc. So this problem has come up through the student agitations. So our economic and security interests are adversely affected in this area. So security concerns are there that Bangladesh National Party and Jamaat-e-Islam now, because they are pro-Pakistan, they are and Pakistan is a part of it's a pro-China. So the BNP and Jamaat-e-Islam, they will provide the major boost to the radical element in this area, and those who are harboring the anti-India feelings. Now the China will increase their footprints in the region. Though earlier also China was close to Bangladesh, but the Sheikh Hasina, the then Prime Minister, had given them go slow policy kind. But now they will increase their activities in a very short time, because the local Jamaat-e-Islam and Bangladesh National Party and this caretaker government, they will be pro to them. Similarly, ISI footprints will be there now. They will increase now. The problem of northeast related insurgents will increase. So for the India, the biggest concern is that all militants, the insurgents which had been tackled by us properly, because Bangladesh government was not allowing their country to be used by the Indian insurgents to make their camp that side, as a result of which we could sort out this problem. So we are expecting now that in the future in Bangladesh, they may revive their camps in that area. So after this problem, the Bangladesh problem, which is going on for the last few days, now exodus of Awami League leader and activists. So that may take place. Though government, the Bangladeshis are trying to stop them there only, but possibility is still there. Then exodus of Bangladeshi minority groups, especially Hindu. Every day the attempts are being made to cross the border to come this side in the large number, but the BSF has been able to stop them there on the border and sending them back. But if they want to do the infiltration in one or two, it can be done, because the large number of TOTs on the international boundary are already active in Bangladesh as well as in India. And these TOTs are professional TOTs for doing this job only, that they charge a lot of money from the people to go across the border and come this side of the border. So that problem will be there. Then there would be a threat of Rohingyas, which at present are camped in Cox's Bazar. They may enter India because they can escape from that country because of the present problem, and can enter inside our country. Then if tomorrow, if Bangladeshi, especially Hindu, will come in large number, then there would be a problem of refugee camp this side if situation doesn't come under control. And the separatist group in the northeast state may re-establish their camp in Bangladesh with the collaboration of the Bangladeshi militants. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we need to have a strategy to overcome, this kind of problem which are likely to face by us. So we need to enhance the deployment of the border security force, and the central agencies need to be activated more in number on that border. This non-lethal policy is required to be reviewed. Now, in the present dispensation, probably non-lethal policy will not work. And then the BSF or the security agency, they need to do the effective audit of physical security of the border. That is required to be done as a fresh effort. Then proper coordination with the stakeholders, all agencies should work together, and the whole border of eastern border should be upgraded by the Government of India. Government of India need to spend budget so that it is brought at par with the western border, so that this infiltration, etc., can be stopped. And the most important part is the state political parties, they should adopt, the nationalistic stance. That's a big problem because of the cheap politics, because of the vote bank. They are spoiling the border management, and that is a very, very dangerous trend. If the state-sponsored infiltration would be there, if Bangladeshis would be facilitated to come inside and inhabitate, so that has to be stopped. And then the central government is already doing the diplomatic efforts that how we can maintain the peace in Bangladesh. So we have to show some patience. Bangladesh is a sovereign country, and many people think that India should intervene. We should send our forces inside Bangladesh and do like this. So those things are not required. We have to work in a very patient and in a very mature manner in this situation to make them behave in a peaceful manner in their country. So, gentlemen, immediate requirement is that the border electronically dominated QRT interception techniques. We mean to say that smart surveillance should be made functional on the border in a proper manner. There should be force multiplier, speed boats should be increased, cameras and other electronic gadgets should be employed. Then villages which are ahead of the fencing should be shifted to the hinterland. Then special search operation should be carried out in the vulnerable areas along the border, especially in the charland. Then we should enhance our drone system fitted with the day and night cameras. Then the manpower of the BSF that should be augmented. That is required to be done. And at certain places where fencing height is required to be increased, that should also be done. So these were my views on the West Bengal border. Now I would like to invite if there is any question, please.
Mr. Sood, may I ask some questions?
Yes, I am Surjit Singh Guleria. Please carry on.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Guleria. Very comprehensive and enlightening presentation. I have two questions, or rather clarifications from you. One is regarding the issuance of permit by the local MP or MLA. Now, this issue you might be aware that was brought to the fore by MP Mahua Mitra.
Yes.
And there was lots of political turmoil on that. Could you throw some light as to just explain what exactly is the permit system?
If I'm right, ma'am, it is regarding that beef slip.
Yeah, okay. Whatever. And yes. The second question is, you said in the end that audit of physical security of the border should be carried out, effective rather. So what do you mean to say? Is it at present it is ineffective, or no audit is carried out, and what specific things needs to be taken into account when you do this auditing of the border? That's all. Right. Thank you so much.
Yes, madam. Last days in the social media or in the national media, there was a news which Mahua Mitra, the MP from TMC in the state of West Bengal, had raised an issue that the beef slip signed by the Minister of Land Port Authority of India were seen, to be given to the people staying on the border to take the beef ahead of the, you can say, the deployment of the BSF. Now, I would like to explain this. This incident, madam, has taken place in the area of Hakimpur, which is in 24th Pargana North. And this Hakimpur village is located geographically in such a manner that there is a river, Sunai River, and the village is situated right on the bank of the river. It is a very old village, 150 years back, and proper built up area, pakka houses, and people are well off. Now, the situation on the border is such that BSF cannot protect this part of the border by deploying their troops ahead of the village, because there is a small river. Now, there is a small river, and BSF has deployed its troops in the hinterland. Hinterland, if we deployed you know the border, how it is zigzag at many places. So, if we will deploy the troops in the state line, the less number of troops are required to cover a particular patch of the border. So, in this area, it is around 4 kilometers of the area in the hinterland where BSF troops are deployed in the state line, and these houses, which is around 12,000 houses in this village, these are ahead of that deployment line. Now, what happened? The 80% people are Muslim in this area. Now, beef is allowed in the state of West Bengal, and we do not allow the people to carry, the cattle ahead of the fencing for the purpose of slaughtering and selling that beef or use that beef, because people, what they have been doing, they are taking the cattle, they are slaughtering them and taking them to Bangladesh. So the local norms for the last about 10 years, it has been made that beef will be procured from the hinterland, and BSF will monitor that each family must get twice in a week 4 kg of beef to be taken by them to their houses ahead of the BSF deployment line. So BSF has a check post at Hakimpur. Now, we have been following this strategy that the BARD member who were staying in this village Hakimpur ahead of the BSF check post, they were giving a slip that so and so person should be given the beef. Now, unfortunately, in the state of West Bengal, the Panchayati Raj system is so corrupt that each and every member have been charging 300 to 400 rupees from that villager to give that slip, so that he can take 4 kilogram of beef. Now, those TMC, those BARD members are mostly from the TMC. So, this minister, I am forgetting the name, the Land Port Authority minister, he is from Bangaon itself. He's from BJP. Shantanum Thakur, madam. Shantanum Thakur, his supporter, reported him that BSF is not allowing us to take the beef that side. So he said that I will give the slip to my workers. So he, on his letter pad, he started giving, that slip to few people, and those people, though Muslim, but they were a supporter of this BJP. So he had allowed that slip to them to take the beef that side. So that anyhow, Mahua Mitra could get that slip, and she got an issue that see how BJP is allowing beef to go to Bangladesh, and BJP speaks that that all that cow and Hinduism. So that she expected that situation. I hope this is okay, clear? Okay. Now, second question, you said that which kind of physical security? Madam, physical security, there is no, you can say you can increase it by any number, because borders are impregnable. There cannot be any border which can be sealed. Though BSF
I just talked about the audit. You said the audit of physical security.
Yeah, I'm coming to that. So still there is a scope for the improvement. Now, physical security audit should be done. What I mean to say that if you see the Jammu border, now there is a second tier system has been brought into it. The BSF is deployed on the zero line, and BSF is also deployed in the hinterland, and even army is also deployed in the hinterland. Similar kind of thing should also be done in the northeast border, so that in case if somebody infiltrates from the border, there should be second line of defense. They should be able to stop them. So that gray area is still existing, and it will keep on existing because troops are not available in that number. So the government of India has to find out, the policy, how it should be done. And one more point I would like to tell to the audience that the police of the state government of West Bengal, they are pro to the local state. It's a state subject. If you look at the FIR which are lodged by the BSF, the conviction rate is 0.0001%, and many FIR which are lodged are not lodged as a FIR, but they are noted as a complaint. Their GD entry is made. So this is another problem which the BSF is facing because of state of West Bengal. They are functioning. If today problem of Kashmir came under control, it was only because of, not because of BSF and army, but the NIA, they started lodging the FIR against the criminals, and then they were produced in the court, and slowly you see situation has come down. So on the border of eastern border, especially in state of West Bengal, the rate of conviction or the rate of lodging FIR is very low, and it is because of the vested interest of the police and the local dispensation. I hope I have made clear, ma'am, and that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for the detailed analysis. Our last speaker for the day is Mr. Sanjeev Sood, who is a retired Additional Director General of the Border Security Force, having put in over 38 years of meritorious service. He has served along the borders of India with Pakistan and Bangladesh, including 8 years on LC and in the sensitive Samba sector of Jammu and Kashmir. I would like to invite Sir to kindly take over.
Thank you so much. And thank you to all the previous speakers to have told us in a lot of detail about what happens along the eastern borders, especially to Dr. Pushpita Das, because as BSF personnel, we are not privy to what happens along the Indo-Myanmar. And so she, being an expert, she has been able to tell us a lot about how should it be managed and how what are the plans to manage that border. Since all of you have spoken about the eastern borders, I'll take 5-10 minutes to talk about the western borders. As we all know that western borders have three components. One is the international border, which is from Punjab till the Sar Creek. Sar Creek is a disputed border, and Pakistan also thinks that the 200 kilometers of border from border pillar number 1 along the Punjab, along the borders in Punjab with Pakistan up to Akhnur is also disputed, whereas we consider it to be an international border. And beyond that is the line of actual control, and beyond a certain point, I'm forgetting NJ 900 something. I'm forgetting the exact figure. The grid reference. Beyond that is the actual ground position line, which is there in the Siachen area, which is held by us, and Pakistan there is on the lower heights. So the border management in this area has been perforce had to be militaristic in nature, especially from the times of 1965 war onwards, when Pakistan decided to foment problems in Punjab through militancy. And therefore, the thought of fencing the fencing the Pakistan border in Punjab came up. And the success of Punjab, mind you, the fence in Punjab has played a major role, besides the role played by security forces in controlling militancy. The fence in Punjab has played a major role by cutting off the logistics, weapons, and free movement that the militants could undertake from the open borders. So the fence has a major role, and therefore the success of fence led to the fencing of remainder of the borders along the west, and thereafter towards the late last century on the eastern borders also. Although the eastern borders has its own problems, on the west there is no population beyond the fence. All population is on the home side of the fence. So that leaves us the problem of managing the 150 yards is because of the ground rules which we are not recognizing now after the 1971 war. The ground rules that were signed between the West Pakistan authorities and us are not being recognized, but keeping the keeping in view the consideration of a provision in those ground rules, we have constructed the fence 150 yards beyond the international border. So that leaves the problem that leads to the problem of taking care of that portion of the border of 150 yard strip where the farmers have to cross the fence, go across to their fields, cultivate, and come back. And also, there have been instances when the Indian troops, when the BSF troops have gone across the fence, especially at night, the Pakistanis are known to have objected कि भाई अभी तो आपने फेंस भी लगा दी अब आप रात में इधर क्यों आ रहे हो so that kind of thing. So de facto, not de facto, the mental borders amongst in the minds of border guards as well as the local civilians are now the fence. Fence is seen as the de facto border, whereas our land falls 150 yards further to the west on these borders. So uh, this this problem has created. I'll talk a little more about these international borders, but before that, the line of control. Now, we have recently seen a spurt of activities, spurt of encounters. In fact, there was one yesterday also in Anantnag area, but that is north of the Pir Panjal ranges. So a spurt of militant activities in the Jammu Rajouri area, which is because of the infiltration of militants from across the border, either through the LC or by utilizing the tunnels that they have that we have also been able to detect at many places, and there might be one odd existing even now, even though BSF is making all efforts to ensure that no tunnels exist there. Uh, so this remains a major problem in the uh, on the line of control portion of the border with Pakistan. That infiltration keeps taking place, and that leads to militancy in increased militant activities in the Kashmir Valley and Rajouri, uh, Udhampur sector. Now, the infiltration was prevented or stopped to a large extent by the fence. But then, as is said, chor sipahi ke khel mein, chor is always a step ahead. So, so what the militants have started doing is that they have started digging tunnels at places. And we have in the past about 30 years, the first tunnel was detected sometimes in 1996 in Gurdaspur area. And since then, we have detected several tunnels along the borders um, from Jammu right till the uh, right till this place, the northern portions of Punjab. So I hope I'm audible because I cannot see my own camera. Can anyone respond?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you
Yes,
are
sir.
audible. Yes.
Okay. So what happens is that these tunnels were used by militants to cross over to India over a large period of time, and perhaps the militants are lying underground with the help of overground workers, and they are striking wherever they feel that they can achieve success to terrorize people. So that is one technique that they have adopted. The other thing that they have adopted for last 5 7 years is mainly to provide logistic support to the militants. So the drones have started coming in large numbers from across the borders, and uh, BSF, with whatever limited resources it has, it only has LMG, that is light machine gun, which can be used in anti-aircraft role to down a drone. And but if the drone is flying above 1,000 yards or so, the LMG will not be effective, and the drone will be low enough to be detected by the uh, I mean to not be able to for the radar not to be able to detect it. So that is another problem which has started there, and therefore we need to sort of find out technology to detect tunnels, to be able to counter drones in those areas. So that is one requirement which needs to be done. Other problem that Mr. Guleria referred to was about the manpower. It's a fact that a lot of manpower is diverted for other duties. Even as we speak today, a large number of troops are deployed in Manipur, and and some other places also. So that leaves the borders denuded, and the remainder troops, then they have a lot of burden on their shoulders to guard the border, which they try to their best. On the part of BSF, we are uh, carrying out detailed patrolling, and we have our system of ambushes. We also are carrying out efforts to detect tunnels. So specific tunnel detection exercises are carried out irrespective of information available or not. So BSF on its part is doing this. As regards the border in Rajasthan and Gujarat is concerned, the terrain remains a major problem, especially in the area of Jaisalmer. We have shifting sand dunes which cause a lot of problem and damage the fence every time a dune shifts. So that is one problem, and troops have to bear temperatures of very high degrees going beyond 50, and nights will be are extremely cold, especially during the winter. So troops face this kind of problem in those areas. In Gujarat, we have the marshy area, and further to the south is the Sar Creek area, which remains a disputed area, and several rounds of negotiations have not been able to resolve this issue. So all these things, besides affecting our border management methodology, also have effect on our relation with Pakistan. And in my opinion, there is very little chance of relations improving till the time Pakistan resists from fomenting problems in our country. Uh, the LC remains a dispute, and uh, several attempts, especially during the times of Mr. Manmohan Singh when he was the Prime Minister, and earlier during the times of Mr. Vajpayee when he was the Prime Minister, have not uh, come to any conclusion. And in fact, the Kargil happened after Mr. Vajpayee made a peace uh, peace, tried to get into a peace agreement with Pakistan by visiting that country. So, insofar as the local population is concerned, the problem for them is that, unlike in the hinterland, we have to there are a lot of restrictions placed on their agricultural activities, especially when they are going across the border because of the security reasons. And they cannot be permitted to go early in the morning, as happens in the hinterland, and come back by late evening. They have to go there during the daylight hours, which curtails their time of working, and which also affects the the farm produce in those areas. So that is one problem. The other problem was about the ladies trying to cross the fence to assist in the farming activities, which has been addressed to a large extent by induction of women in the organization. So the other issue that has recently cropped up by that notification, I think of September 22, or maybe it was September 21, wherein the jurisdiction of border security force under certain acts has been enhanced to 50 kilometers. Earlier in Punjab it was only 15, in Bengal it was only 15, further practically reduced to 5 in Bengal, and in Rajasthan it used to be 50, Gujarat it was 80. So they have made it uniform at 50. But then it has its own problem, because the BSF is not trained in this kind of policing job. They are, and second is the resource constraint. BSF finds it difficult, as was emphasized by Mr. Guleria also, to manage the borders with the existing strength. So we neither have resources, nor do we have expertise to do this kind of work in 50 kilometers of the area from the border, which will be heavily populated, and it will then uh, tantamount to interference with the work that the police carries out. So these are certain important issues that I wanted to highlight on the western border. And as I said, such problems have effect on our relations with the neighboring country, that is Pakistan. Firstly, we had to go in for militaristic kind of border management system because of the attitude of Pakistan. And now that militaristic infrastructure cannot be done away with, because Pakistan continues to adopt the same posture insofar as India is concerned, a hostile posture. So that is how it affects the relations with Pakistan. I'm open to questions if there are any of them. Thank you. Anyone? One more issue I will like to touch upon, since nobody is asking me any questions, is the uh, work that BSF is doing in the field of integrating border population with the mainstream. You see, if you look into the BSF rules, there is a rule 15 which lists out our tasks. That is, inculcating a sense of security amongst the border population, control trans-border crimes, and control smuggling. So, in pursuance of this most important objective, it is most important, that is why it has been listed at number 1. In pursuance of this most important objective, BSF does a lot of civic action program, uh, for which the funds are allocated directly to BSF. BSF also does a lot of work even without involvement of funds, uh, by exercising initiative, by using its own resources. For example, at many places, the BSF officers and subordinate officers carry out career counseling for youngsters passing out of school and colleges. They train them to be selected for, say, security forces and Indian Army, and also provide them with computer training and some basic elementary knowledge about computers. So those are certain uh, things that we carry out. And besides that, the government allocates a lot of border area development program funds to the civil authorities, to the states, all bordering states. Those are allocated, and which for which the BSF representatives are part of the state level and district level committees, and certain percentage of this border area development program is allocated to BSF by the civil authorities for expenditure on the plans that BSF considers it to be important for welfare of the border population. And certain, about 10% of the expenditure is carried out by the civil authorities on the aid and advice of the border security force. So what the government can do is to utilize the vast reach, even in remote areas, of the border security force, where in fact a BSF soldier standing sentry perhaps is the only visible authority of or the visible symbol of government authority. So it is natural for them to come to a BSF Jawan for, if they are in any kind of trouble, or if they want any kind of help. So the reach of BSF in remote areas can be gainfully utilized by the state and central government to address the problems of border population, and to sort of uh, plan for development of infrastructure so that it is beneficial to the border population in all the bordering states, including the borders with the northern countries of Nepal, Bhutan, etc. One more thing is that the group of ministers, as was referred by Dr. Pushpita, in 2001 or 2, they had sent a report. They had designated the border guarding force as the lead intelligence agencies for the borders they were manning. So the intelligence agencies can also gainfully utilize the reach of border security force for collecting long-term strategic as well as short-term information about what is happening in the counterpart area. And in fact, having been designated as the lead intelligence agencies, the periodic meetings at the frontier level, sector level, are carried out to coordinate the activities of all intelligence agencies in their respective areas. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. That was very informative. I would also like to express my heartfelt gratitude to our speakers, Mr. Anil Kamboj, Dr. Pushpita Das, and Mr. S.S. Guleria, for joining us and sharing their invaluable knowledge and experiences with us today.
We can't see you.
Your is this better?
Yeah, this is better.
Yeah. Your perspectives have enriched our understanding and opened our minds to new possibilities and areas of study. I would also like to thank our organization, Borderman, for their unwavering support and cooperation throughout the process of organizing this event. As we come to an end of this webinar, I hope that the knowledge and insights shared here will continue to guide us and inspire us in our future endeavors. Once again, thank you all for being a part of this event.
Thank you, Dr. Pushpita, for having joined us. Your expertise has really enriched us. Valeria, thank you so much. You could find time from your, trying to settle down while having reached Mohali recently. And Mr. Kamboj is not here. I'll convey my thanks to him separately. Mr. Sangwan was to join us, but then he had suddenly had some other commitment, so he couldn't. Hope to see you all again in future in many other webinars, and if we are able to conduct a physical event there too. Thank you, Dr. Pushpita. Thank you, Surjit, and thank you, Dr. Ruchi, and Vipra, and all others who have helped in organizing this event. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.